bunker was silent, except for the faint groans of the undead outside and the occasional drip of water from a leaky pipe. Everyone had fallen into an uneasy sleep, their exhaustion outweighing their fear. Everyone except Dustin. He lay on his cot, wide awake, staring at the ceiling. His stomach growled, a painful reminder of their dwindling food supply. But his thoughts weren't on hunger. They were on the glowing object near the bunker entrance. It had caught his eye hours ago, but he'd waited until the others were asleep to check it out. Slowly he sat up, his lanky frame casting a long shadow on the wall as he crept toward the glowing object. When he reached it, he crouched down and picked it up, a small glass vial filled with a shimmering, iridescent liquid. The label on it was worn, but still legible. The Amazing Digital Circus. Dustin frowned, his green eyes narrowing. He recognized the name immediately. The Amazing Digital Circus had been an indie VR show that people had been obsessed with before the apocalypse. It was about characters putting on a VR headset and getting trapped inside a bizarre, colourful digital circus. Dustin had never cared for it himself, but the name was impossible to ignore. It had been everywhere online for months.
What the hell is this doing here?
He muttered to himself, turning the vial over in his hands. The liquid inside shimmered in the dim light, almost alive. His curiosity burned, but he wasn't stupid. He wasn't going to try it on himself. No, he needed to test it on someone else. His gaze shifted to the others, all of them fast asleep in various corners of the bunker. His eyes landed on Renee. She was curled up on her cot, her short red hair resting gently against her pillow, the faintest trace of a smile on her lips even in sleep. She was always so selfless, always lecturing him about his behaviour, always acting like she was better than him. Maybe it was time for a little payback, or maybe he was just curious. Either way, she was the perfect target. Dustin tiptoed over to her, holding his breath as he unscrewed the cap on the vial. The liquid inside gave off a faint glow, illuminating his smirking face. He tilted the vial carefully, letting a single drop fall onto Renee's head. For a moment nothing happened. Dustin leaned closer, watching her intently.
I guess it's just a...
He started to whisper, but then he froze. Renee's body twitched. Her breathing grew uneven. Slowly her skin began to change, softening, stitching itself together as if it were made of fabric. Dustin staggered back, his smirk vanishing as the transformation unfolded before his eyes. Her short red hair unravelled, transforming into thick strands of red yarn that fell around her face. A blue bow appeared on her head, perfectly tied, as her left eye morphed into a large blue sewing button. Her nose sharpened into an orange triangle, and her skin took on a patchy texture, seams running across her cheeks and arms. Her clothes shifted, forming a light blue dress covered with darker blue patches. Dustin clamped a hand over his mouth, stifling a gasp. He didn't know what he had expected, but this was horrifying. Renee, no, Ragatha lay there motionless, her new ragdoll form eerily still. She looked like a twisted toy brought to life, yet somehow she hadn't woken up.
Oh, crap!
Dustin whispered, his voice trembling.
Oh, crap! Oh, crap! What did I just do?
He backed away, clutching the empty vial like it was going to bite him. His heart pounded as he stared at the transformed figure on the cot, his mind racing. Should he wake the others? Should he run? Should he pretend this never happened? Renee, or Ragatha, shifted slightly in her sleep, letting out a soft sigh that sent chills down Dustin's spine. He stumbled back further, knocking into the shelf behind him, the clattering noise making him freeze. The others stirred but didn't wake. Dustin's breath came in short gasps as he tried to calm himself. He needed to think, needed to figure out what to do before anyone else noticed. But one thing was certain. Whatever this vial was, it wasn't just some harmless liquid. It was something far worse, and now it had turned one of their own into something inhuman. Renee stirred, her eyes fluttering open as she let out a soft groan. Something felt off. Her body felt different, lighter somehow, and her movements felt strangely stiff. She blinked a few times, the dim light of the bunker coming into focus. The first thing she saw was Dustin standing over her, his face pale and his green eyes wide with what looked like a mix of fear and guilt.
Dustin?
She mumbled, her voice groggy.
What's going on? Why are you...
She paused, her hand brushing against her face. Her skin didn't feel right. It wasn't soft or warm, it was textured like fabric. Dustin took a step back, his lanky frame visibly tense. He forced a nervous smile, scratching the back of his head.
So, funny story. You're, kinda dull.
Renee froze, the words sinking in like lead.
What?
She whispered, her voice trembling. Slowly, she looked down at herself, her hands coming into view. They were no longer her hands. They were made of stitched fabric, with seams running along her fingers. Her arms, her body, her legs. All of it was now a patchwork of cloth. She let out a gasp, her hands flying to her face. She felt her button eye, her yarn hair, her fabric cheeks, and the bow perched on her head.
What happened to me?
She stammered, her voice rising in panic.
Dustin, what did you do?
Shh.
Dustin hissed, holding his hands up in a placating gesture.
Keep your voice down. You're gonna wake everyone else.
Dustin?
Renee's voice wavered, though she managed to keep it low.
What did you do to me? Why am I like this?
Dustin took a deep breath, trying to look calm, though his twitching hands betrayed his nerves.
Okay. So, there was this, vial.
He began, holding up the empty glass container.
I found it by the bunker entrance, and it had the Amazing Digital Circus on the label, and I thought, hey, this looks weird, let's see what it does. So, I, tested it. On you.
Renee stared at him, her fabric mouth hanging open in disbelief.
You tested it on me, without even asking?
Dustin held up his hands again, his grin forced.
Look, I didn't think it would actually do anything, okay? I thought maybe it was just some leftover marketing gimmick from before the apocalypse, but, surprise? It turns people into dolls, apparently.
Renee's breaths came faster, her button eye seeming to glisten like a tear might form if it could.
I'm a doll. What am I supposed to do now? How do we fix this?
Hey, calm down.
Dustin said quickly, leaning closer.
It's not all bad, right? I mean, you're kinda cute like this. Like really the bow and the button eye? Adorable.
Renee shot him a withering glare, her stitched brows furrowing.
Cute! You think this is cute? Dustin,
Also...
Dustin interrupted, his nervous grin widening.
At least your voice is the same. You don't sound like Amanda Hufford.
Renee blinked, her panic momentarily derailed.
Who's Amanda Hufford?
Dustin rolled his eyes.
She's Ragatha's voice actress. You know, from the Amazing Digital Circus? The character you look exactly like now? Duh.
Renee's hand flew to her mouth as a realization struck her.
Wait, Ragatha? I look like... Ragatha?
She glanced down at herself again, taking in the blue dress, the patches, the orange triangle nose.
Oh my god, I do look like Ragatha. Dustin, what did you do to me?
Okay. I get it. You're upset.
Dustin said, backing away slightly.
But hey, it's not like you're a zombie, right? You're still you. Just, with a ragdoll upgrade.
Renee buried her face in her stitched hands, letting out a muffled groan.
I can't believe this is happening. I'm a doll. What if this is permanent? What if I can't ever...
Hey,
Dustin said, his voice softening slightly.
We'll figure it out, okay? Maybe it's temporary, or maybe there's a way to reverse it. Science-y stuff. We've got time to sort this out. Just don't tell the others yet. They'd freak out.
Renee looked up at him, her fabric face filled with a mix of anger and despair.
You think they'd freak out? Dustin, I'm the one who's turned into a rag doll. How am I supposed to explain this?
Dustin shrugged.
You don't have to. Just pretend it's normal for now. Maybe they won't notice.
Renee let out another groan, but before she could respond, she heard a faint stirring from across the bunker. She froze, her button eye flicking toward the sound. Dustin put a finger to his lips, his green eyes wide.
Shh, we'll deal with this in the morning.
Renee slumped back onto her cot, her patchwork body trembling with frustration and fear. As Dustin slunk back to his corner, she stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. She was a doll now, a living, breathing rag doll, and she had no idea how or if she'd ever go back to being herself again.